Hi, my name is Adonis Browne, and I'm going to be reading for you an excerpt from a work in progress entitled Apocrypha. 2038. Pierrot. If that was then and this is now, and I come now to talk about now, how then is only now I talking then? And when is this, if that was then? Creole riddle, 19th century. Okay, love, I have an next one for you. If every rumor come from a truth, then every story is a stillborn fact. It used to be, and it going and be. What that mean? It mean as a dwen. It mean it bound to haunt you. You can't go away, you can't find you. You can't run from it, and it can't run from you. Once it's yours, and it go follow you until you pick it up. What you do with it after that is your business. Hold it, nurse it, love it, hate it, throw it back in the bush. You can't kill it though, because it's yours. Chapter 1. Tongue. In Port of Spain yesterday, a vendor was shot dead by agents of the ministry. 18-year-old Brendan Phillips, 967-48697, was apprehended in Central Market on suspicion of possessing contraband material with intent to sell. Phillips was summarily executed on the corner of Duke and Frederick Streets. The case has been ruled a death by misadventure. Laughter. A voice, something like a woman's, sounding cheerful and relieved, trailed off before swinging again toward the familiar lilt of an interested reader. The processed saccharine tone of a network anchor, or what passes for one in this place. The design is subtle, meticulous. An improvement over the past versions, yes, but there is still a glitch in the levity, a flaw in the design of a sound that only curled lips can make. Only something with a pulse and a breath. Listeners, once used to the sound made by living things, have learned to forgive this particular imperfection, as they did the artificial static, the nostalgic Morse code beeps of telegraph machines in a world without need for them. They got used to it after a while. Everyone comes to know it eventually, to need it. There are things for people and people for things. No system is perfect, but at least there is balance. The message, you tell yourself, is what matters. Business is next, then weather. Today is Tuesday. There's the third one this week, you know. Zora looked up. The third what? Sorry, Davis, she confessed. I wasn't listening. Her morning had been ruined. She had been summoned and had to turn around and head to the city. Assessment. What a waste of a good outfit, she thought, but there was no denying she liked the way she looked today. She would dress like this every day if she could afford it, but pleasure doesn't pay as well as it used to. Procurers like her were almost obsolete. Her hair, even her hair, believed and behaved as she wanted it to. Earlier, as she dressed for her meeting with Suku, she had allowed herself to imagine and then to make narrow braids tracing the side of her head, all of them beginning at the finest strands at the edge of her hairline before diverging, some behind her ears to the back of her head, others loosening at the center in a small puff of thick black curls that traveled from her forehead to the nape of her neck. Her head, cultivated and wild, was full of thoughts. Suku would be pleased, she imagined. But that was earlier. Now, he'll just be pissed that she cancelled. No notice, no choice. So sorry, don't be vexed. No telling when he'll get over it and call her back. 'Cause Suku funny like that. She sucked her teeth and touched the silver vial that hung on her necklace. A gift for a curse. Davis, her driver, shook his head and exhaled. I don't know now. What? Zora insisted mockingly. What you don't know? She forced a smile and looked down at the tablet on her lap. There was no trace of the message that had so drastically changed the direction of her day, forcing them to make the elaborate U-turn from Sangre Chiquito in the east, almost to the edge of the coconut forest in Manzanilla, where she could just see the shoreline, back to Port of Spain in the west, with its far fewer trees, its different, dirtier water. The tablet screen had gone transparent except for a small line of text that slowly faded in and out at the center when she stopped reading to respond to Davis. Zora talking, Zora talking, Zora talking. I was saying is the third execution this week, and in the heart of tongue to boot. He looked in the rearview mirror for her reaction, and then, getting none, he looked at her over his shoulder. The third one, he said. He could see her legs, crossed at the ankle, smooth and matted in black stockings. And in the heart of town, she interrupted. To boot. She tried smiling, but worried she might be late. Not today, Zora. Don't be late. Don't be late. You know you, she could hear her mother say. She saw the time, 9:18, and a heap of stones started to collect in her belly. Being late was as bad as cancelling, worse in some cases. Yeah, you go ahead and mock me. I guess it is pay me enough for that, eh? But I tell you, these people, like they go on clear, killing people just in the street like it's a game. It's like they forget who they're supposed to be working for. Zora affirmed, before turning to look out at the Beetham sprawl. How it washed up on the foothills of Laventil and retreated like a lazy riptide into the Gulf. At 1,000 feet above ground, she could just make out the patchwork of roofs through the smog below. The people were harder to see. It was harder still to know a battle had been fought there. No records were ever posted, not for people like that. Refugees in their own country, exiled from the capital. Zora could trick herself into thinking she'd catch a flash of color dashing through a lane or across it, from beneath one roof to beneath another. She could trick herself into thinking it was haunted by the living. They saw the mad bulls collide and corkscrew, smoking into the trash. They picked the carcasses clean, scavenging the things that didn't burn. There are no holograms in this part of town, but there are ghosts, more bone than flesh, rampant and restless. Armed too, Davis told her a few days ago when she wondered aloud if things would ever improve. Set in their ways, he warned. A waste of time trying to fix them, even the Kobo wouldn't need them. She thought of the black vultures that used to swirl above the dump, looking for dead and dying things, masters of surveillance in their own way, surviving, majestic and nonchalant. She thought of maggots that fed on rotting dogs and cats and caimans that littered the roadsides. She knew better than to ask. Looking down at the Beetham was a rite of passage, like looking at the world through cataracted eyes. Beetham, an infamous world apart, seen as well as anything could be seen through a putrid opacity that drifted steadily inland from the dump. That too sprawled further south, past Caroni, pushing up against the edge of Chaguanas. She looked out the other side and squinted. The barrier, which followed the shape of the central range and cut across the entire island, was only barely visible. Lower Chaguanas was behind it. Freeport, Couva, and Gasparillo beyond that. Further still was Sando. She hasn't ventured south in a while, but she knew her way around. Her mother still lived there, only slower now. Slower with some pain when she walked. Just a little, her mother would say. Just enough to make me feel bad, Zora would reply. Then again, another long silence between them, a silence set in stone.